Alrighty, welcome back to Hit the Gap after round 13, post-Origin Game 1 and post-round 13. Not the result we wanted in Origin at all. I mean, could have been a worse game all in all, but not the result we wanted by any means.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I would say Origin. Geez, I tell you what, the paper, I guess, like you look at the teams on paper, not ideal for Queenslanders, I think.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it did in fact turn out that way as well. There were a few questionable decisions, and I think that they also showed that they did not pay off either.
Some interchange and positional and whatnot, I'm assuming, but most definitely. If you, I guess, picking from what we had available, but yeah, still some interchanges or things there Billy did, which didn't end up paying off in the end. Probably could have been done a bit different. We'll probably see that happen in Game 2, I imagine. Pardon me. I should say as well, once again, we did say we'd be coming back for the normal potty, but once again doing it remotely, as much like you after Magic Round, I have contracted Brisbaneitis after the Origin, so bear with me if I get a bit of a scratchy throat again. But I mean, a few debutants. I mean, I think Toya did well, and Fermor as well, mind you, but Toya and Fermor both did quite well. I don't think Fermor, for me, I don't think Fermor got enough time. He probably got brought on a bit late. We've had a few conversations with people, and seems to be the consensus is maybe Fermor starting, even if he only plays for a bit, start him and then bring someone else on or interchange him and maybe give him a bit more of an opportunity later.
Yeah, I think, I feel like general consensus across the board really has been Fermor needs more time. Whether he starts or not, he needs more time. Dearden starting and Grant as an impact, as Grant as either the 14 or at least an impact play instead, having have Tom start instead. The other thing that was probably brought up was does Hamiso stay at fullback? Does Hamiso stay at center rather? Does Ponga stay at fullback? You know, do we move Hammer back and maybe shift things up a little bit?
That's the tough thing, because I mean, everyone was sort of hoping Ponga would have a bit of a Origin camp, not meltdown, but eruption. You know what I mean? Like break away from that Pooh Knights form and then get into Origin camp with the boys and sort of turn it around a bit. And albeit better than what we've seen at the Knights, still ineffective, no good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do there. I have a feeling he's probably going to get picked at fullback again. And yes, on what you're saying, Hammer staying at centre. I feel like he was, this game in particular, I know how he can beat the Dolphins, but this game in particular, he was just very, as well, ineffective. Like, he'd get the ball and, I don't know, it's just like he was a bit worried to run or a bit worried to put his body on the line. Because obviously, we've spoken about it at length too, but Critter's so good in defence, covering the man and then allowing the rest of the team to slide, sort of thing. We're shutting it down, but Critter was always there, putting his body on the line in defence anyway. Whereas it was almost like Hammer didn't want to when he was running the ball, so it sort of diffused him a bit. So yeah, maybe whether if something happens or not, he does go back there, and we can sort of try and get a bit of a different dynamic going. I don't know. Maybe he can be a bit more effective playing at fullback or coming from fullback. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, you just have to worry that if he does get put back at fullback, which Hammer at fullback do we see? Do we see the one during any time he plays at Magic Round, where he just smashes everyone, or do we see the one that is the average club game, where it's just sitting in the back? Yep. Letting time just go by. So hard to say which one we get.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not to shit on the whole team, but there were a few decent efforts all around. I thought there was a lot lot of errors, which, and talking about Grant was part of it, that silly errors that sort of gave New South Wales that leg up in field position, just to march downfield, and almost every time they scored off of it, or they at least turned the tide and got back on top off of it. So pretty rough. I thought Nenai was probably best on field for Queensland.
Between him and Carrigan, I think.
Yeah, the not just the kick chase. The kick chase was awesome because he was the only one doing it, but just some of the hits and his defensive effort. Like, I mean, he shut Latrell down. We all love seeing Latrell get jammed and make errors, but covered him well, and I think defense all around, dog and defense there. So and hit him. I think he might have smashed Latrell, and Latrell lost the ball possibly, which is what led to our first try there. Set that play up, or he set that play up anyway for that first try to Coates, or only try to Coates, I should say, in the corner. Jumping on to New South Wales, though, you got to give them their flowers. They were pretty cocky from the get-go, and I mean, you do hear it. It should have been a 30-point game, which it should have been, because Cleary couldn't kick a dog in the guts, and then Lomax from right in front, who would have guessed couldn't kick it either.
Yeah, that was a strange one.
Ridiculous, yeah. They really turned to water in the second half. Like, defense wasn't as bad. It wasn't too bad. Rather, sorry. Defense in the first half was better. The attack wasn't too bad, but they just sort of turned dog water in the second half. I thought it was probably lucky that we were worse, if anything. So kept it close and kept it a relatively tight game. But I don't know. I don't know whether we're going to see such a pedestrian sort of effort, or you know what I mean, like a lack of effort from both sides, or lack of flair rather from both sides going into game 2. I mean, obviously New South Wales wanted to lock it up, whereas Queensland are fighting to stay alive. So we'll see what happens there. The other news, I think, as well. We talk about New South Wales, or Queensland rather, the good players for them, New South Wales. I mean, players like Barnett, I think had a massive game for them. He just got in, workhorse, just did his job, but he just suffered an ACL on the weekend. So unfortunately, that's his season done, which we'll see someone like, I think in the Origin potty, we were talking about someone like Utukamanu, or even possibly Olakau'atu, or someone coming.
I think you'll see Spencer Linu come into the starting side, and then have Olakau'atu come in. I think that's probably the better play. They may take Uto because he's had more games, but
possibly, yeah, possibly.
Personally, I think the longer they keep Olakau'atu out of the Blues side, is the longer we have a chance. But
yeah.
But
true.
Hey, if they're willing to do that, then that's fine.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll see what happens there, but it's not like they're really struggling. They are pretty spoilt for choice. They do have a lot of good players that weren't even really picked or named. So we'll see what that side looks like, and also the Queensland side. I can't see the Queensland side changing too much. I mean, outside of possibly some of the extended squad, or maybe one of the extended squad getting a go, and possibly one of the bench players, or anything outside of injury moving on. I just have this feeling the selectors and Billy aren't going to shake it up too much. But one thing was for sure, we definitely needed a forward with a bit of mongrel in there that game.
I think the only thing that I'm genuinely hoping from a change perspective is that maybe they switch Trent Liero for Kurt Mann. I think Liero should be 18th man, and have Kurt Mann come in and have a go. Yeah,
his Kurt Mann's sort of utility is I mean, Liero's a big body and does have a bit of mongrel, don't get me wrong, but he's also got an area in him, and yeah, that's right. He had his shot. He didn't really break any records, so whether he does get picked again, or maybe he does look at Mann, I don't think he could be too mad about that change up at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I think so here's hoping game 2 in Perth is going to be a lot more exciting. What we'll do, though, we will have a quick look at round 13. Just been Friday night's game was Dragons versus Knights. Now, this one, we say it often, but probably went as you'd expect it. The Knights just struggling. They're running out of time, and they just aren't able to convert anything into points. Now, mind you, obviously Ponga was a laid out. He was named to play, but he was a laid out, so it's a bit of a loss for them there. But Sharp played fullback again, I'm pretty certain.
Yes, that's correct.
he almost is more effective there than Ponga, really, in my opinion. I don't know.
I'll come out and say it. He is. He flat out is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this year especially, but just for their attack and everything.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't really, even especially after Origin as well, man. Like I just don't have anything left to offer from the Knights spine right now, other than Fletcher Sharp as their go forward, and they need to be doing whatever they can to have him be their sort of guy, be that man, you know. He's the one who's. Like it's not even the halves anymore. It's literally he's the one who's getting everything done. Everyone else should just be trying to play off him at this point to see what they can salvage of the season. Just
Ponga
pray for
almost,
some change. Pray for some change when Brownie gets there.
Yep. So definitely, that's the thing that's been said for a while now is they need to stop relying on Ponga, and they're not anymore. They're not relying just on Ponga, but instead of having two people of the same caliber where they're sort of getting some sort of plays or something from, it's almost like they've just taken one and swapped it with the other. Now, a bit disappointing considering the week before they, albeit a pretty mismatched Panthers side in comparison to them, they still trounced them. But just seeing this week the lack of effort there, or lack of anything momentum was hard to watch, really.
Yeah,
Dragons looking pretty decent, you know what I mean? We've said it all year, they've been there or thereabouts, and most of their losses have only been pretty slim ones, so they've been in the fight, but yeah, finally having a pretty dominant performance last week, I thought, anyway.
Yeah, like in King Tonga as well, he had a real crack at this game and showed people that he can actually do some really quality stuff. And I mean, look, I get it. They're versing the Knights, understandable, but still, it was a nice change to see him like sort of take a bit more control and not let Flano like sort of try and do everything.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
I think when it comes to these Knights, I think the only thing left they can maybe do for the rest of this season, if they didn't want. Or if they wanted to keep Ponga in the side, or because Ponga can't really go anywhere else other than fullback. If they're going to do anything else, I think the real play is to actually have Fletcher play 2, and have Schiller either move to 18th man, because that way they can really sort of spread teams out a little bit more. I think part of the issue is they've got ways to get up the field. And then when they get there, there's no fifth tackle option. All they keep doing is sort of just praying something happens, they can get a gap. But realistically, if they have threat on each wing, we know that Fletcher Hunt's a absolute beast of a winger. We know that Fletcher Sharp is a beast of a player, and he's played wing before. I think he scored 5 tries in one game where he played wing. We know they have that potential. If they can keep teams spread and Ponga, all he has to do is throw cutouts. That's all he's got to do. If he can cut some people out and just get to either Fletcher, really. I think it gives Hunt. Yeah, it gives Hunt more of a chance, and it gives Fletcher just as much chance. Or Sharp just as much chance rather.
Yep.
I think that's probably the last play that I can think for them if they want Ponga in the team.
With what they've got at the moment, anyway.
It's all they've got, It's literally all they got.
Yeah, it's getting to that point in the season for them, unfortunately. Saturday's games, we will have a peruse over Titans versus Storm. Storm 28-16 over the Titans. Now, this one was a lot closer than that for most of the game, really. It was probably only toward the end there. The Storm really locked it up, maybe 5 minutes to go or so. Maybe just over 5 minutes, but we were watching this one at Tiny Mountain, and holy moly, was it kind of average for a while or what? Like, Tino, I think big Tino for the Titans, absolutely instrumental. But Storm just, I don't know, they're in like a bit of a lull at the moment, which worries me for us playing them this coming week. But
I don't know what it is about this team with rain, man. They just, it's the same as the Dogs. They get it, they get a bit wet and they get it and they just can't do it. Just can't do
stinking.
it. Yeah. Look, Ryan had a pretty average game. I think I feel like a lot of the points all really came from the fact that Suolavi is just incredibly tough to deal with on the wing.
Yep. Such a strike
power, and the moment that you invest so much time into, they go right. Everyone shifts over to stop him, and then all of a sudden there's gaps through the middle, so then they shift back into the middle to stop the gap, and all of a sudden the ball's just popped out left, and Grant Anderson gets you too. So it's it's hard to deal with both Farlogo or Grant Anderson really, and Anderson obviously playing out of position, but he was still making absolute mincemeat of him.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's just much like Origin, really. I thought like errors and things like that, just letting them down. And,
big time.
Stopping them from being able to convert and really be dominant like they were. Not to take away from the Titans, mind you, because we've seen how average they can be or how they can get to a lead or get somewhat dominant and then just let it all go. But, I mean, even just despite how average a Storm were, the Titans were in it for pretty much most of the game. It was just right at the end there.
And honestly, I
snatched it.
I feel like that's mostly off the back of Tom Weaver. I thought he had a stellar game.
Yeah, he did. He did actually. His kicking game was quite solid, but he's had a couple goes there at 7 now. So that's right. Yeah, filling in there. So he's making a claim for himself. It's going to be interesting to see. Once we have Campbell and once we have everyone back, Campbell and Foran starting as well, because I think did Foran maybe come off the bench?
No, he started this game.
This one.
Actually, no.
He did start this one.
Did he start? Because I'm pretty sure he was wearing a 14. Did he actually start?
Yeah, that's right. He was named to come off the bench, but he did start.
He did start.
That's where my confusion comes from there. So once we have that full side with Campbell and whatnot there, and Kinney back in the side and Brimson, and that's going to be interesting to see what happens, as well as possibly the rumours of Sexton making a move. Who knows? We'll have to see what happens there. But the next game was Cowboys versus the Tigers up here in Townsville. This was a good one. We were loving this. I mean, the first 15-20 minutes were a bit hard, but once they cracked them, or once they got that first sin bin, the boys just started piling the points on. It was great to watch up until, it must have been the last 15-20 minutes maybe, where, I don't know, fatigue or what, but we were up 30-something points, or 32 points to 6 or something like that.
Yeah, it was last 20.
It was something... Yeah, it was something phenomenal, and in the last 20 minutes, the Tigers just piled on points. As soon as they started to spread that ball out, they were getting, off of one pass, they would have had at least a run following of at least 10-15 metres, if not more. So
yeah, honestly, I almost felt responsible because, at the game, I even said, this is honestly some of the worst football I've seen Luai play so far, and this is probably why he hasn't been picked for Origin.
So he went,
and then he said, all right. And boy, did he have a good last 20 minutes. It was stellar. It was
once they that's right. I mean, obviously having Heath Mason there, he sort of filled in. He's more filled in at fullback. Still got a little while for young Fainu to come back, but I didn't think he did too bad. I thought Mason did quite good filling in there.
I thought he did fantastic.
Yeah. Just a few errors and things like that, which come with it, but he's picked himself up a try, but he filled in that spot quite well. But yeah, like we're saying, once they started spreading that ball and even kicking, getting a few kicks off, it led to a lot of fun, because there you go, from the 62nd minute, there was 62nd, 64th, 67th, and 75th were their tries to absolutely bring it back, and let me tell you, Dewey wasn't missing his kicks after that. So it was, great start. I think Bateman was my man in the match. Positives of it anyway. Bateman was a man possessed. He wanted to really stick it back to his old teammates, I think,
and he did too. He got himself a chocky. He had an absolutely stellar time on the tackle count. I think the only person who came close to impressing me as much as he did was probably Nanai. I think he really carried on from Origin and showed he is him.
Up well. Yeah, he did. He backed that effort up, which was great. And the other positive being that halves pairing, which, as Toddy said he was going to do, he has stuck with. Purdue and Dearden, it seemed to have been a lot less clunky. Now, we still have that issue of not really having much of a kicking game, or the kicking game's hamstrung, like it was when we had Clifford, but it definitely seemed to have a lot better combination there. The boys weren't all as bunched up, and it wasn't as sideways and just slow sort of plays. it almost rang true to what it looked like he wanted to happen. Was you had two running halves, almost like Moses and Brown at times, where you sort of just had you had Deard in there who was sort of leading the side around, and he'd let young Purdue run, but then at any given moment, Dearden's also a running threat, which that's exactly what he did. He even, I mean, I think he set a try up. No, he scored a try as well, didn't he?
Both, yeah. He set one up and then he scored one.
Yeah. Yep. And Purdue as well going over.
Yeah, no, I think for me, it's obviously, we're still lacking severely lacking a proper kicking game. Like, we just really couldn't get them into corners, which probably was a big reason why they even had a chance to come back. We weren't getting them into corners, so Tom's got to work probably a little bit more on his drop kicking and try and get a bit more consistent at that. But it's all just going to take time. The rest of the season's probably going to be a bit of a practice run for him, but we'll have to see how he goes, I guess. Yeah, definitely. And the next game, which, God, I don't think anyone saw coming as a result, Seagulls 34 against the Broncos 6. All I can say is, why didn't Cherry Evans play like that for us in Origin? Yeah, where was that on Wednesday? Yep.
I mean, Lehigh great as always, but God, I wish Cherry Evans played like that for us in Origin. Absolute domination, I think. Yeah, there wasn't much more to it. Broncos just, I don't know. Broncos are in a bit of a heap at the moment. I don't know whether there's some people that are unhappy or what, but they just, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about the Broncos anymore.
Yeah, no, that one. Look, I feel like it's been a bit of a trend for the last couple of years, right, where they just sort of peter off towards the back end of the season, and you can't even really blame Origin, for this one. Everyone's back in, so. You have to wonder if maybe if it even settles down once Reese comes back or not. Get a bit of flair back into the game, because even now it's like the return of Ezra has been good. But not enough. But definitely not enough. It's you have to wonder if maybe something else is going on.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, you're right. We'll see. I mean, Walsh is picked this week, and not Arthur's fault, but Arthur's is not a fullback.
Arthur's is not a fullback. That was a
ridiculous experiment. Cobbo, albeit Cobbo, he wasn't breaking records or doing anything crazy or flary out of fullback, but he did the job. He filled in and did the job all right, I thought. He wasn't really a liability or anything, and
we severely questioned the random change of Purdue to halves, but this one was sensational. I wish I had more of an explanation. I wish I had more of a rhyme or reason as to why this happened. I've got no idea.
I don't think Arthur's playing a second week there's going to see the same turnaround we had with our halves anyway, put it that way. But it didn't make sense. You're right. So, but yeah, as you said, Lehigh, another stellar game. Absolutely, they got a conundrum, because once Turbo comes back and he's prone to injury, Lehigh keeps getting his opportunities here and there, but he's an out-and-out fullback, I think. They're going to have to stick him on the wing for a bit, but he's an out-and-out fullback, so I don't know what they're going to do there.
Yeah, honestly, I like him in both spots. I think his attack is a little more lackluster on the wing, and I think he's far more dangerous as a fullback, because he plays a very similar game plan to Tom as well. He's very running. He's very run-orientated.
Very for such a, I mean, he's a tall body, big body, but he's very strong too. He's not super muscly, you know what I mean?
That's right.
Jacked or anything, but very, very, very strong ball runner, definitely. Yeah, you're right, for sure, man.
You let him on your outside once, and then he will make you pay.
Yeah,
you won't hold him.
He did it a few times that game. And Sunday's games, we'll have a quick look at Rabbitohs versus the Warriors. Now, this one was close. Warriors looked like they were set to run away with this. It was going to be all Warriors, half time onwards. But, geez, Bunnies brought it back in the last 10 minutes, really. What do we got? Or 20 minutes, you might as well say. But Latrell setting Alex Johnston up for two in a row anyway. And Alex Johnston over that game getting a hat-trick. But setting him up for two in that second half. And then Latrell himself going over in the 75th minute to bring it within a converted try. But
It's another one of those games where it was tighter than it should have been, all because of kicks.
yeah, exactly right. You're right. And Metcalf missed a couple. He missed 3 of his. If they had that extra 6 points, it would have been a bit more comfortable. But yeah, I thought a good showing initially anyway from the Warriors, in my opinion. They've been rising. They've been all right. They've been good at times. Then other times they've been they've been okay. They've been all right and just scraped by, whether it be from a lucky penalty or a dubious penalty rather, or something like that. But games like this, I think, really show that they are at least contenders for the top 8.
Truly. I would even say 4
without Johnson. Yeah, well, top 4. I think, are they still in the top 4 at the moment? Have a quick look at that ladder there, but they are. They're in 3rd still, so nearly halfway through the season and still doing pretty well. So with a relatively inexperienced side, you would say. I think Fisher Harris coming back's really bolstered them a bit. But the big one for me, and mainly in fantasy, because I've got him, the big thing for me I've noticed is Aaron Clark. Aaron Clark's been amazing for him. Yeah, he can fill in at hooker, but as a lock, or you know what I mean, just coming on the middle off the bench or something, he's just been damaging, like insanity. So they've got a good system there at the moment. Like we spoke about a bit earlier, though, unfortunately losing Barnett to that ACL in this game, so he'll be out for the rest of the season. But much like the New South Wales team, not spoilt for choice for people to replace him. So they should still stay strong running into the second half of this season. Anyway,
I think for me, man, I think the big one for me is Leka Halasima. He is unreal. He is an unreal player. I can't believe we've been starved of his gameplay for so long. I can't believe he's still an interchange player. I think he should be running on, really.
He's one of them ones that's sort of come in this year and through injury or whatever it's been.
Yep, it's been dribs and drabs, but now he needs a permanent spot. He is an incredible player.
That's right. He staked his claim and done phenomenally in that. You're exactly right. So yeah, 36 points. Only getting away, much like our game, only getting away with it in the end there, but still dominant performance, I think, initially anyway from them. The second Sunday game was Panthers versus the Eels. Now, Panthers desperately needing the win in this one, which they did come away with in the end there, but God, it wasn't as convincing as you would think. Unfortunately, it was a much better game than that would lead you to believe. So
I feel like we have been saying that for every single Panthers game that has been played recently, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It just never feels convincing at the moment.
Not convincing. You're right. Yeah, getting the wins they need, or getting the wins to keep them off the very bottom of the ladder. But just not convincing at all. It's going to be hard for them to make the top 8, so they should still have 2 buys up their sleeve, I think. So that's a free 6 points. I think they've only had 1 buy so far, but regardless of that, geez, man, second last or third last on the ladder or whatever they are, it's a long run to get in. Top 4 is probably out of the question, but top 8 is going to be rough. They're going to have to win. Sorry, they're 14th, so they're not as bad off because they've got a bit of a better for and against than some of the people below them, some of the teams below them. But going to be a rough run for them toward the end of the season, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't even really think they can make the 8 anymore, given the rest of their draw. You look at some of the games they got coming up, and it's a tall order. It is a tall order.
Much rougher than some of these close wins they've had anyway.
Yeah, and over this Origin period where they're going to lose Cleary for pretty much all of it. Yeah, geez, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really nasty.
And it's unfortunate that, like years gone, they just haven't had that same stock, or they don't have that same stock now to replace all their players over Origin, which they're still losing. They've lost the people that would have taken the place of those other ones, unfortunately. So yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a rough run for them. Rough run for them from here on out, unfortunately. Not to take anything away from the Eels, though. Eels had a decent game. I don't know, just sort of maybe coming back, a couple of players coming back from Origin and whatnot, Lomax and that, maybe just a little bit fatigued or something.
When is that next Origin game? I think it's not next week, it's the week after, right?
So 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah,
2 weeks from
that's
tomorrow.
right.
Will be next time I'm home. Yep.
So you look at it, right? I think next week is the one where they have the bye. Super unfortunate. They have the bye next week.
Mm.
And they come back into the Origin one to verse the Warriors, who will have pretty much a full side minus Barney.
Yep.
They'll have a full side versus them without Cleary for that game. And then 17, they come back and they've got to play the Bulldogs on a Thursday.
Rough.
It's at Combank as well, so it's just like, man, that's going to be, they'll probably have Cleary back for that game, but he will be fatigued from Origin, so it won't be an easy one.
Yep.
And then it's what they get. One game there, which will be, I think that's the next one is their bye.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one after that, when they get ready for Origin and lose Cleary, they've got to play the Eels again. So it's, I think that one's probably the only time they'll have like even some sort of fair go. You would call
Respite.
it, maybe, like a fair go. And even then, it's like, man, that's a rough run, like big time.
Yeah, unfortunate indeed. Like we said, it's going to be a rough one for them, unfortunately.
It'll be a miracle if they make it.
Bound to happen eventually. So it's like, get it in now while you can. We've got the 4-peat, but blah blah blah. But yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen eventually. It was always coming for them.
Yeah.
And the final game of the round, Roosters versus the Raiders. Now, geez, this one was tight right up until the end there. I had Raiders tipped until Fogarty was confirmed out the hour before. I think they confirmed he was definitely out. So I thought, geez, you know what, Sanders coming in, he's got all the wraps on him, but just haven't seen enough myself to put the faith in him. Roosters should get this done, and they just couldn't get it done. They looked like they had it. I did say it too. I can't remember who I was talking to. It might have been Robbie or someone talking to him, and I sort of changed it to the Roosters. But much like the times I've changed from the Roosters, they've won games they've had absolutely no business winning. They lost this game. They had all the business winning. So geez, good game. I mean, it wasn't bad from them. They just sort of died off in the end. Their Raiders made their monumental comeback like they can do. I think Sanders is a pretty good prospect moving forward. Like whether he takes that 7 position up next year, I don't know. But
honestly, it's no wonder they let him go. It's no wonder they let Fogarty go. They know they've got people ready to go. Yeah.
Yep. And the other one too, Owen Paddy starting. Geez, I think Owen Paddy had a great game. He's had his opportunities, and especially coming off the interchange and that all year, but we just haven't seen him dominate like he did in this game. I think 40-20 or a couple 40-20s. God, he was good.
Yeah, for a hooker to do that sort of stuff, it was good stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly. And they're flush. That's the thing too. They've got Brayley going there next year, so they're flush for hookers. They've got about 3 or 4 options. Starling re-signing as well, so the competition's there, but possibly what they need to keep him hungry by the look of that. I think Huddy Young, especially coming back from a big Origin game, he had a good Origin game. He did pretty well. For the Raiders, considering.
I'd probably say that he's probably been the best player of the round to back up from Origin. Really, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
He's having a stellar year. It's looking like that breakout year again, where he just ran an absolute fuck and scored every game.
Burst onto the scene and absolutely hammered. You're right. Yep. And also KO Weeks. I thought KO Weeks had a pretty good game at the back there, as he does most weeks. But definitely stood out a bit for me. Roosters though, geez, Toya had he got a try, but he had a decent game coming back from Origin. But Mark, no, I'm going to need to RSA again, putting that first try on in the fourth minute. Holy moly!
And
man.
I feel bad for him because I feel like people have sort of unfairly attacked him. I mean, yes, he's got to learn a whole new code of football, getting under the high ball. And yes, it did do him in this game, but you would have to argue that the attacking prowess that he has is just unmatched by the wing at the moment, I think. I don't really think there is a better attacking winger at the moment than that bloke. He is unreal.
He's definitely found, I think he's locked that wing spot down. He's found that spot of his. I can't foresee him going back to the centre, unfortunately.
I don't know. I don't think they'll ever. I think Young I think Dom Young has missed his shot. I think he's going to have to leave and go elsewhere. I think because he's not going to get it back off him.
No, exactly right.
I think once Marky Mark learns to catch a ball, people are in danger. People are in real danger.
Yeah, because he burst onto the scene last year at centre. I think he had a couple games. He was quite good, but just all year this year he's been phenomenal, and he just seems to be, adding a step to his game each week. So, like you said, that next one's catching a ball, and once he does, unbeatable.
Yep.
That's it for round 13. We should be very good for the Roosters anyway. Not us, not anyone else. Well, good for me because I got him on my fantasy side. Round 14, we'll have a quick look at this one because I don't think this is a major buy round. It's not, so it's only the Roosters who have a buy this week. Thursday's game, we've got Knights versus Sea Eagles. I don't know. There's nothing for me to talk about in this. So if there's anything, I don't know. I'm getting over talking about the Knights stinking. That's all. That's all I could say. Like it's just too rough. It's too rough. They just haven't showed outside of that Panthers game. Sorry, they haven't showed anything worth backing them for.
Yeah, and I mean, look, they've just defaulted straight back to the same shit they've lost with all year. So, I just don't see it going any differently. Like I said, the only thing that is left for them to actually try and see if they can, cause a bit of movement on the field from the spine, is if Ponga stays at the fullback, then you've got to put, I think, Fletcher Sharp. At six, he puts too much of a target on his back, so they're just going to shut him down. And then if you shut him down, where do their points come from, So I think the only real way for them to actually have a proper functioning spine is going to be to have him move to the wing, put Schiller 18th man, have someone else come in, a bigger body come into the bench, and then have Hunt and Fletcher, both Hunt and Sharp play on your outsides. And have Cogger and Gamble. Really, I think that's your best bet right now. I really just don't think there's any better way to play it, and they've already proven how dangerous they can be with those wings if they're left unattended. That said,
given that opportunity,
in absolute fairness, even if they made that change right here, right now, for this game, would it make a difference? Probably not. I think the Eagles just smashed them. So there's that too. So
Lehigh at fullback again, and Gerbo back in the side in this one. So I don't know, man. I just I don't, unless they come out and I don't know, do some wacky shit. I'll eat my words. I'll happily eat my words, but I just don't see it happening.
No.
It's just too far behind, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I've got zero faith in that one.
Yeah, so Eagles for you. It sounds like
100% Eagles
for me. Friday's games, we've got up first Storm versus Cowboys down there in Melbourne. Going to be a tough one for the Cowboys because albeit they didn't lose last week. Melbourne just aren't playing. We've seen them lose and then come back and absolutely smash whoever they've faced the week after, sort of right all their wrongs. But it just seems like they're in like an odd holding pattern at the moment, or just some weird sort of lull. I don't know as such. I think Harry Grant's back. He is, yeah. So Harry Grant and Coates are both back this week. So you're pretty well looking at a full-strength Melbourne side, which is going to be rough for us, unfortunately. We're once again running Purdue and Dearden in the halves there. Who else have we got floating around here? It's basically the same side we had last week.
It's pretty much the exact same side, yeah. I think, given this, I mean, I'm still going to back Cows in this game. I think Cows have a chance here. But that said, I think for me, looking at this side, is that you've got Grant Anderson on the wing, and Failogo is out. Coates is a little more stock standard. If he's going to score, he's probably going to score over you no matter what because he's just too tall. I think basically the only chance they've got is against diffusing that is really going to be Derby just taking the catches, and trying to get over Xavier. But whether you can do that or not is to remain seen. I think Anderson's side is going to be a little bit more interesting to watch given the Paulo versus Anderson. So I think the only thing else from there is just trying to diffuse the middle part, which is going to be pretty tough when Joshi King and Uto Ikamanu are both starting. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. But look, I think this is probably a Melbourne game.
Your body in front of them.
Yeah, they've got so many big boys in this side. Tui and Nelson as well. So
yep.
I think this is probably going to be Melbourne's bread and butter.
Yep.
But who knows? Well, maybe it'll rain. It is set to be raining throughout this week. So
God, we can only pray.
if it's raining, maybe we've got half a shot. So.
Yep. The other one too, just before we move on, didn't really touch on. Paulo had a pretty decent game against the Tigers, I thought. I mean, he got that try, but I thought he wasn't too bad. I think people were a bit worried about his ability in terms of attacking that, but especially defense. But yeah, thought he did all right. So at least we've got a little bit of confidence. I mean, myself, I'd probably still like to have seen Burns get a shot. But obviously, Toddy's wanting to move on or give the young bloods, the younger players, a bit of a go. Considering Burns started at the start of the season, but
I'm happy with Paulo there.
Would have got the shot over him.
I'm happy
after that game, exactly right. Yeah, there's a few worries seem to have been calmed or whatever. So, look, I agree it's going to be tough, but. Do love a lefty sometimes, but also, you got to back the Cows. So I reckon in taking advantage of a bit of their average form, I reckon Melbourne might maybe go into it thinking they've got it in the bag, possibly, and we've upset them a few times, the Storm. So I think, we'll go Cows on this one as well. Friday's second game is Dolphins versus the Dragons. This one should be decent. This is actually up at Suncorp there, so Dragons have got to make the trip up for it, but I think this should be a decent game. Hey, I'm looking forward to it.
Tui Pelotu's back, which is the big one for me. I believe Ilias is also back, I want to say, or is he actually named? Actually, no, he's going to be reserved. We'll have to wait until the actual game day to see if Ilias actually plays or not. But the big one for me is that obviously Sloan is still injured, so he won't be in for sure. But or I think he's still working. He's managing that injury, but it'll be interesting to see what actually happens on game day. I think if Sloan does actually come back, or we see Ilias back in the side, Dragons look pretty good with either of those boys coming back in. I think that brings back a lot of dynamic threat to their attack. Having either of those guys come in either of those positions, if they're both in, even more dangerous, obviously. So. Having Tui Pelotu back in to play off Val Holmes is going to be very, very integral. So,
they're a lot more dangerous in terms of their finishing ability now. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Their fifth tackle option is secure, even if they're looked at heavily. I think Tui Pelotu is usually very good at handling multiple people on the fifth tackle and still scoring. So. A little bit of danger back there and it's going to be obviously tougher for the Dolphins as well because it's a Sarko versus Tui Pelotu, so there's going to be a little bit of a strength mismatch there, I think.
Yep, and Osako, a finisher of note as well, good finisher of the ball, but just doesn't have that leap like Tui Pelotu does, unfortunately.
That's right.
You're right, he's a bit mismatched there. Big ones for me are seeing Max Plath and Jeremy Marshall-King in the extended reserves. Whether they do make a late entrance into the side, I don't know, but can't be too far off coming back anyway, which is going to be a big boost. Dolphins are sorely missing both of them. So
yeah, they're desperate to have both back. Desperate.
Yeah. Even though it's at Suncorp, I'm probably going to tip Dragons in this one. I think maybe just rolling on from last week, albeit Broncos were pretty average. I think the Dragons might take a little bit of momentum and a bit of hype from this and carry it on.
Yeah, I think with a bit more of a refreshed Origin players as well, I feel like Dragons will just have the edge here. Yep.
Cool. Saturday's games, we've got Sharks versus the Warriors. This one's tough to pick. God, this is like the weird bogey one because I want to go Warriors just based on what we've seen. I think I've got a bit of faith in them, but then this is when the Sharks, who were absolutely impossible to pick at the best of times, even after they're on a win streak. Can just, throw the towel in or, dominate. So it is in Sydney, so it's not over in New Zealand there, which is probably a little bit of a home ground advantage or whatever taken away from the Warriors. But I don't know. I just feel like they'll be right into it in this one.
Yeah, no, I think for me, this is literally just the absolute peak of 50-50.
You're right.
Yeah, you really don't know what you're going to get with this one, unfortunately. Do we see the same Roger from the week gone? Do we see the same Kale Iro from the 2 weeks prior? It's a very, very, very tight, this one. I think for me, just looking at the ins and outs, look, they lost Barney, they lose Rocco. Yeah, it's just so 50, honestly. I think for me, who do the Warriors want to smash Adden?
See, the thing, the Sharks probably do have the slight benefit as well coming off the bye. So they didn't have any Origin players for starters, but then they come off the bye, so it'll be a nice refreshed side to take on the Warriors who did play last week. So
fresh side and home
would be a slight advantage. Yeah, it could be an advantage for them for sure. But those are the things where you go, yep, Sharks, and then they get absolutely pumped.
Yeah, that's right. You have to wonder if there's going to be a bit of blood in this game because of Adam Fanua-Blake.
AFB.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
So
he'll definitely be wanting to stake his claim, or you know what I mean, show that he's still got it. But Warriors as well probably wanting to get on top of him and
get a bit back on him.
That's what happens. Yeah, that's what happens when you leave, champ. So.
Yeah, you can already foresee the James Fisher-Harris and Adam Fanua-Blake combat.
Yep.
So
going at it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think. Look, for me, I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to go Warriors. I'm going to go Warriors.
Nice.
This may be the one that they do drop, but
yep.
I'm going to go Warriors. I think especially after such a tight game this week, they've got some bringing it back.
Yeah.
They got some bringing it back to really staple themselves in, and now they have to actually show people what they're worth in a game where they're versing a top 3 team, really a top 3, top 4 team. I think both of these teams are contenders for top 4. It's time to prove who has it.
Yep, and who can, that's right, continue on with it for sure. The second Saturday game will be Broncos versus Titans. This one could be the ultimate poo slinger up at Suncorp Stadium there, but I think of another 50-50 when I look at it. I want to say I think I've got to go Broncos, but then Titans could also just turn up and hold firm, hold strong and just, I don't know, annoy the shit out of the Broncos. Broncos do have Walsh back, like we were saying. Blake Moser, what is he doing? He must be in the extended squad. He is.
He's usually always extended. 22. Yeah,
he must be making his way back from that shoulder. But Walsh back at fullback. I think they'll just find a little bit more stability, the Broncos. Although I think it's probably going to be a close game still, regardless. I am foreseeing them being a little bit more stable, having a little bit more set play there. Look, you got Mam and Walsh linking back up for the first time this year. And Jensen. I like Jensen starting.
Jensen starting at 8 is a very cool call. I think that's way better.
Yeah, I do like that. So I reckon I'm going to go Broncos in this one.
Yeah, I think the one for me is I haven't actually had a good look at Alan Fitzgibbon. I think it'll be interesting to see how he plays up against Cobbo. I think, unfortunately for him, as his first game, I think it's his first game, but I think it's his first game back for a while, right?
Fitzgibbon?
Yeah, I think he's only played 2 games, so I think it's going to be an interesting one up against Cobbo, who's realistically one of the better defenders in the game, you'd probably say.
Yep.
He's not a slouch at defense, so...
Yep.
I mean, obviously, having Reese back is going to be a big inclusion. I think that's probably going to be the big one for me. So I think I'm going to go Broncos just with Reese back. I think Reese wants a big game, and he wants to probably try and get the boys back on track. So
definitely.
It'll also be interesting to see him back and how he plays alongside Ezra now that Ezra is there. So
Does it unlock Walsh a bit? Because we saw how quiet he was at the start of the year. He was, somewhat wasn't really involving himself as much.
Tempered would be the term I'd call it.
Definitely, yeah. And when he was trying to at the start of the year, he just error-riddled. So does having Mam there sort of unlock him a bit?
Mam has already shown that he has got the flair back and he's ready to go. With Reece there alongside him, I think it will be an interesting go. I'm going to go with Broncos.
One or two Q Cup games really made him learn his lesson, so he's happy to be back and doing well for the Broncos. So yeah, good call. I'm going Broncos too. Sunday's games: Raiders versus Rabbitohs. God, I got to pick Raiders in this one. I think the Rabbitohs can try and stick it to them. They're going to have Walker back finally, Walker and Whiten, but I think Raiders are just too good at the moment. They're just too strong.
Honestly, I'm honestly happy to lock in now that they're the premiers this year. The Raiders.
Yeah, they're definitely my smoky for at very least grand final. I think they've got what it takes to go the whole way and had been one of the more consistent sides outside of their couple little lapses they've had out of everyone. They've definitely been one of the more consistent sides, but they are one of the strongest for sure. Hey, their pack. I think you said it at the start of the season as well. They've got like one of, if not the biggest pack.
It's got to be the biggest by far.
Yeah. Yep.
I honestly, sincerely don't, and even the people that are out right now, I sincerely believe they have the biggest forward pack in the game, hands down. Their bench is ridiculous. Their starting team is ridiculous. The people who are out are ridiculously sized. It's it's honestly so difficult to fight these guys. It is honestly a difficult task, and I don't see. You can have as many Wayne Bennett's as you want. I don't think there's enough training or anything in the world right now to fight that forward pack on the Rabbit side.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they've got Keon, who's absolutely killing it. Massive weapon for them, but I don't think it's going to be enough against the whole, like you said, the whole of the Raiders forward pack. So yeah, Raiders for me.
Yeah, I think it's a significantly large Raiders win on the cards here. Even with like the likes of Sliva Havili, they've got, I think, Totola's back as well. Yeah, I just can't see it. They've got a huge team, but I just don't think they've got it to beat the Raiders right now.
Yeah, unfortunately. Second Sunday game, Tigers versus the Panthers. Look, this is almost feeling like Tigers versus Eels or St. George of last year at the moment, but you know what? I'm going to go Tigers this week. I'm assuming Heath Mason's still playing 5'8".
Yep, he'll still be a 6, yeah. Well, so far he's been named as it.
Yeah, Jarrell Skelton as well, back on the wing there. So yeah, I'm gonna go Tigers. I'll go Tigers in this one. Fuck it, let's see what the boys can do.
Yeah, I think given the side that we've got here from both teams,
Yep.
Oh God, I think the one thing Penrith do really poorly is their bench. I feel like their bench is very small compared to compared to some of the other teams available around at the moment. So I think is Alamotti, is he back yet? No, I think he's still injured, so I think he's still a little bit away.
He might be in the extended squad.
Yeah, he's in extended. I think he's still injured, so
must be. Yeah, making his way back.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll be going Penrith on this game. I think I just can't. I feel like that's like I said, every single game lately for Penrith has been. I'm not going to call it undesirable, but it's been it's been tough watches. But I think the the Tigers have been that much more unwatchable. So I think for me it's a Penrith one.
Yep, easy. And Monday's game, we've got a Monday game this round or this week. Bulldogs versus the Eels. Bulldogs still retaining first place there with that new recruit Lachlan Galvin on the extended bench. I think it'll stay like that for a little bit. But, I think Eels still staking that claim. They're doing well. You got Lomax back, Addo Carr, Sean Russell and Pensini. Pretty well a full strength for what we've seen, or what we've seen them win with Moses this year anyway. Pretty much a full strength Eels team, but Just don't know if they've got enough in them to get it done, unfortunately.
I think this is the Eels' first proper test. This is, the Bulldogs have got literally everything back. They've got everything they need back for this game.
Yep.
Yeah. But the only thing that's sort of looming, how does Toby play in this game? Does Toby play? Does Toby actually play? I mean, Galvin's named and extended, so does Toby actually play?
Yep.
But the other thing, I guess, as well is how has all this noise capitulated, I guess, with the Bulldogs? How are they going to come out and play? And they're actually going to need to play in this game. The Eels are not a slouch team anymore. They've got their big boys back. They've got the marquees back. So how do they play against the Eels? It's going to be very interesting to watch. I think this is probably the most 50-50 of the week, really. I want to go Bulldogs, but I think we're going to see some stellar stuff through the middle off Jack Williams again. And it's going to really hurt them. But I think we'll have to wait and see. I'm gonna hold Bulldogs. I think Critter gets the job done for the boys, but it's going to be a tight one. This will be a good game to watch.
Tentative doggies, seeing as it's a pretty well unchanged and full strength side. Very nice. I will also say though, if Galvin does come into the side at a last minute, that immediately tells me we've had an implosion, and we'll be changing that to Eels 100%. Things are going south.
I will definitely be picking Eels, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah, nice, very nice. It's probably it for our round previews. There wasn't really much more in the way of major news, I don't think. Galvin being probably the dominant, the hot topic for a while.
Dominant topic,
yeah. Finally made his way over to the Dogs and confirmed that he signed with them 2 days after being sighted training with them already. So, not that Gus knew anything about that. He had no idea that was happening, just like he didn't have any interest in picking him up. But anyway, we might move on to, have you got a try of the week ready? Or
for me, the try of the week, look, I do have one actually semi-prepared here. I don't have it up with me right now, but I'll get it for you.
All good.
I think for me, it's going to be Marky Mark's try this week again, literally right off the bat of the game. Man, how many more times is this bloke going to appear in the highlight reel this year? I think he may as well just have the fucking highlight reel. I think he is an incredible player. I'm thoroughly enjoying watching him. He's really, all he's really doing is giving a great name for Union. I think
locking down first, second, and third for our try of the year anyway. But yeah, you're right. He's definitely setting Suoli up, or setting him up to fail, if anything, once he comes back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and what have you got for fantasy?
Fantasy, I'm thinking fantasy by the round now. We've sort of changed from our usual cheapy buy or cash cow buy. We've started to, now we're getting toward the middle of the season, looking at people we want to pick up and keep. We're going to go that route again this week, but with Keon Kolomatangi from the Rabbitohs. Now, I like this as a buy because he does have dual position. He's got his middle and edge. He can fill out, but man, like, even if you don't look at last week's 85 or the 81 the week before, just so consistent from round one. He's had three games under 50, 4 games, under 50, and 3 of them have been under 40 points. So everything else is almost 50 plus, 50 between 50 and 70 to 80. So if you want to pick up someone moving forward now, especially with all the buy rounds, major buy rounds coming up. I think round 15 is the next one. Rabbitohs do play that, so definitely a great option. Looking at 736k at the moment after he made 60k last week after that 80 points. So grab him now before he puts another 80 on this week and rises another 50 to 60k. he'll fill a spot for you for sure. With that though, we might wrap it up because I'm starting to feel my throat get scratchy and getting a bit dusty as we as the podcast goes on. But we did last year our cane toad hats for our Origin competition. This year, lucky enough to stumble upon a fan signing thing on Queen Street on the day of Origin there. They had Matty Ballin, Josh Hannay, Sam Thaiday, that is, Scott Prince, Steve Renoff, and Nate Miles, and also Benny Hennett as well on the panel there. So we've got a nice, decent little Queensland Maroons cap there, signed by all those Origin legends. I mean, Matty Ballin, having only played the one, is involved in the coaching side of things at the moment. So definitely in and around the squad still. So we'll probably do something similar to what we did on our other potty for the tickets, whether it be comment on the post, but head over to the Instagram anyway on the Hit the Gap podcast Instagram and Facebook. There'll be a post up there with some pretty easy instructions on how to enter, and we might before game three happens, we'll draw this and announce it for the winner and get it to them for game 3. Unfortunately, the only New South Welshman on the panel that day was Mick De Vere, and Mick De Vere looked like he was not too interested in in dealing with a heap of Queensland supporters. He was in the middle of an interview with Ben Hennett as I went past. So sorry, New South Wales supporters that were hoping to grab this for some sort of memorabilia. I didn't get his signature that time, but we'll have to look at doing something, whether it be later in the season or next year for our New South Wales fans. Probably 1 or 2 people that listen to this. Keep posted, keep listening. We'll keep you up to date on how to pick that up. But I think that's probably it for this week. You got anything else to add before we go?
Nah, I think we pretty much hit it.
Deadly. Alrighty then. Well, with that, we'll call it an end for Hit the Gap this week. Any questions or any input, anything, you know where to drop them. We will see you come round 15.
Cheers, guys.